rain had been falling all day, the kind of steady drizzle that blurred the edges of the city and painted the streets in silver reflections. I clutched my umbrella tightly, though the wind threatened to turn it inside out. It was past 9 in the evening, and the streets of downtown felt strangely deserted, as though the city had exhaled and left only me to walk its veins. My office had demanded late hours again, and I had convinced myself that walking home would clear my head better than waiting for the next bus. The sound of my heels against the wet pavement echoed, louder than I remembered it ever being. It was almost as though the city itself had grown quiet to listen to me. My name is Claire, and I've always prided myself on being independent, unshaken by the shadows of alleyways or the emptiness of streets. But that night, something in the air felt different. I adjusted my coat and pressed forward, my thoughts swirling between deadlines, unfinished projects, and the lingering loneliness that had woven itself into my life since I moved here 2 years ago. New cities are strange like that. You can be surrounded by millions, yet feel utterly invisible. My friends were scattered in other states, my family hundreds of miles away. Work filled my days, but my nights often echoed with silence. Halfway home, I became aware of it, the subtle sound of another pair of footsteps. Slow at first, then steady. I glanced behind me. A man in a dark hoodie walked about 20 feet back. I swallowed hard. It could have been nothing, just another pedestrian heading in the same direction, but instinct has its own voice. I crossed the street.
So, did he?
My heart began to quicken, matching the rhythm of the rain. I told myself not to panic. "It's fine, Claire," I whispered. "You're imagining things." Yet with each block, the presence behind me mirrored my steps. The city lights flickered in puddles, neon signs reflecting in distorted colors. I quickened my pace, gripping my umbrella like a weapon. My mind ran wild. Every news article, every whispered warning from my mother about walking alone at night. I turned sharply into a side street, hoping to shake the feeling. The sound followed. My breath caught in my throat. "Excuse me," a voice called out, deep, almost muffled by the rain. I froze for a second before turning. The man in the hoodie had stopped a few feet away. His hands were visible, no weapon, just damp from the rain. His eyes were dark, unreadable. "Do you have the time?" he asked. For a moment, I was caught between relief and fear. It was such a simple question, yet why had he followed me so closely? I nodded quickly. "It's 9:30. He smiled faintly. "Thanks." I turned back around, forcing my feet to keep moving. But the unease lingered. I didn't look back again, though my ears strained for the sound of his steps. By the time I reached my apartment building, my nerves were frayed. I hurried inside, locked the door, and leaned against it, my chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. I told myself I was safe. But the truth was, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had been too close, too aware of me. That night, I struggled to sleep. Dreams of shadows pressing closer filled my mind, and every creak of the building made me jolt awake. Days passed, and I convinced myself to forget. Work deadlines consumed me, and the normalcy of city life returned. But sometimes, when walking home, I still caught glimpses of someone behind me, a figure that disappeared the moment I turned. One evening, about a week later, I stayed late again. The office was nearly empty, the hum of fluorescent lights buzzing above. As I gathered my things, I noticed a folded piece of paper on my desk that hadn't been there earlier. My name was scrawled across it. With trembling fingers, I unfolded it. "You shouldn't walk alone." My blood ran cold. I spun around, but the office was deserted. My coworkers had all left hours ago. I shoved the note into my bag, my hands shaking. My thoughts spiraled. Had someone been watching me? Had they followed me into my workplace? That night, I didn't walk home. I called a cab, double-checking every mirror as we drove. The next morning, exhaustion lined my eyes. My boss noticed, but I brushed it off. How could I explain the gnawing fear that had started to live inside me? I didn't want to sound paranoid, but paranoia had sharp teeth, and it was chewing through my every thought. Over the next several days, small things kept happening. My umbrella, which I always left by the office door, went missing. When I found it again, it was resting against my desk, though I hadn't moved it. My favorite mug had been shattered, the pieces neatly arranged in my drawer. And twice, I came home to find my apartment door unlocked, though I was certain I had secured it. Fear began to dictate my life. I stopped walking home. I triple-checked my locks. I avoided being alone. Yet somehow I always felt watched. Then one Friday evening, as I left the office, I saw him again. The man in the hoodie. He stood across the street, leaning casually against a lamppost. His eyes were fixed on me. My breath caught. Without thinking, I ducked into a crowded coffee shop. My heart hammered as I pretended to scroll through my phone, glancing up only to see him still there, unmoving. I knew then. This wasn't a coincidence. I called the police, my voice shaking as I explained. An officer arrived, but by then, the man was gone. They assured me they'd look into it, but I could see in their eyes that they doubted me. The following days blurred into a haze of fear. My life became smaller. I went to work, went home, and locked myself inside. Even then, the feeling never left. One night, unable to sleep, I sat by my window, staring at the empty street below. That's when I saw it. A figure, standing across the road, looking up at my window. My chest constricted. My hands trembled as I pulled the curtains shut. The next morning, I decided enough was enough. I told myself I wouldn't live like this. I bought new locks, a security camera, even a whistle to carry. I tried to reclaim some sense of control. But control is fragile. And fear doesn't release its grip so easily. It all came crashing down 2 weeks later. I was walking home, not late this time, not even dark yet. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. For the first time in weeks, I almost felt normal. Until I heard it again. Footsteps. I froze, turning my head slowly. The man in the hoodie was there, closer than ever. I broke into a run. My breath came in sharp bursts as I darted through the streets, my shoes splashing through puddles. I could hear him behind me, faster now, closing in. I turned sharply into an alley, hoping to cut through. Big mistake. It was a dead end. I spun around, pressing my back against the wall, my chest heaving. He stepped into the alley, his face finally visible under the dim streetlight. "I told you," he said softly, his voice low but clear. "You shouldn't walk alone." Terror consumed me. "What do you want from me?" I cried, my voice cracking. He paused, his expression unreadable. "To keep you safe." Safe? The word felt like poison. "I've seen you," he continued. "Out here. Vulnerable. The city isn't kind. Bad things happen. I don't want that to happen to you." My mind spun. Was he delusional? A stalker disguised as a savior? "Please," I whispered, clutching my umbrella like a weapon. "Stay away from me." He tilted his head, studying me. Then, almost reluctantly, he stepped back.
"Fine," he said.
"But remember, never walk alone." And with that, he turned and disappeared into the night. I collapsed to the ground, my entire body trembling. From that day on, I never walked alone again. Not because of his warning, but because I realized the truth. Whether friend, stranger, or shadow, you never really know who walks beside you. And sometimes, the most terrifying thing isn't being alone, it's not knowing who's watching when you're not.